Here we go. All right. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for being on our Girl Talk. And actually, this is not really a girl talk today. This is more like a guy talk, more like a conversation with Charlotte. But at any rate, we have three amazing guys who's just trailblazing in the area of community and bringing communities together and working with police officers and working with the community, bringing them together. I am so excited for them to be on and for them to just kind of talk to us about some critical issues as we're watching the news and looking at things that's going on in society today. It's horrific. And but there's some solutions if we focus on the positive and not necessarily on the negative. Then there are some people who are out here who are really interested in making situations better for us and with us. And so with us today we have a group of three guys who are actually out there in the trenches working to make sure that communities are better. We have retired Sergeant Brad Deason, we have retired Sergeant Robert Munoz, and we have veteran Jeremy Lampert, which we have just made some connections. We're in the Ellis County area. He's doing some wonderful things in Ellis County, so you'll hear some more from him later on. But Brad Deason, would you kind of talk to us a little bit and just want to welcome you guys to the program. Want to talk to us, and I'm pitching it off to you to give us a kind of who and what is One Community USA.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for having us, for being here. Me and my colleagues, we're excited to
Absolutely.
be here, no doubt about it. One Community USA is a nonprofit organization that was started by a very dynamic young lady by the name of Tony Brinker back in August of 2015. And she wanted to make sure her organization, her nonprofit company, had an opportunity to try to heal and bridge the gap between first responders and the community.
Mm,
Right, over the last several years, the relationship between the community and first responders has been terrible,
right.
to be
Yeah.
honest with you. And so her organization has several different programs that she has rolled out over the last several years to help bridge the gap between the community and first responders here in North Texas area.
Wow. So we've seen some pretty horrific things that's happening. So how does one start? I mean, where does the healing begin? Where do you start bridging the gap between or building a bridge? Because you see two extremes, and you see some people who are okay with the divide. They're okay. You see a Black Lives Matter sign, and that, in the heads of some people, that means blue lives don't matter. And and so how do you start the conversation and start the chatter into healing communities who are hurting in such a way?
Well, one particular program that I'm a director over is called Shop Talk. It was started by a detective, John Plunkett, out of Irving, Texas, 4 years ago. And Shop Talk is a program designed to try to heal and bridge the gap between the African American community and the first responders. And the way we do that is very unique and dynamic. And Irving started it back in 4 years ago, and it's been tremendous. And One Community USA teamed up with Shop Talk in Irving Police Department about a year and a half, 2 years ago to take it outside of Irving and to take it around North Texas. And eventually, we want to take it nationwide.
Mm,
Let me explain Shop Talk to you because it's a very dynamic and amazing concept. In the African American community, as you know, the barbershop and the beauty salons are the areas where if you want to really know what's going on in the community, those are the locations that you go to. When I was
right.
growing up, Right. I always used to go to the barber shop and you can find out whatever you needed to know in the community at the
Right.
barber shop or
Yep.
the beauty salon.
Yep.
Well, one community USA, what my focal point is to team up with a particular city. And I can give you an example. Let's say Irving Police Department. We team up with Irving Police Department, and then we take officers to different barber shops and beauty salons, like two or three, and make sure the officers are diversified. And we have open line of conversation or communication with the
Love it.
barber shops. Right. Now, when we go into barber shops, it's three or four officers, and we make sure it's a diverse group because the barbershop owners, when we first go off in the, sometimes they kind of, apprehensive,
Right.
nervous,
Right.
to find out, hey, why are we here? What's the purpose and what can we gain from this? Well, knowledge is power. As I was growing up, my mom and dad used to always say, son, it's always three sides to a story: your side, their side, and the truth. Well, the barbershop owners, the customers, and the officers get to have a open line of communication, and we will talk about whatever you want to talk about, and we can agree to disagree, but we want to make sure that you are basing your information off the truth,
Yes.
just like the officers need to be basing their information off the truth as well. So it goes both ways.
Right.
So we extending a hand, like you got to start at baby step, because once trust is broken between the community and the first responders, you have to earn that respect. So us, by going into these barbershop in the beauty salon and in the officers going off in there, after a period of time, after we do that several times, the barbershop owners and the customers become more relaxed and more open. And then that's how you build that communication on both sides and get the truth. And sometimes, if they fortunate enough, we take the police chief with us. Let's say it's Irvin. Irvin police chief goes to the barbershop with us and
Wow.
have that open line of communication. Now, how many times would somebody, an African American male or female, go to the police station voluntarily? Probably not
Not
gonna
gonna
happen.
happen.
Not gonna happen. So that's why we come to your backyard, so you're comfortable, so you get to hear straight from the chief of police. You can ask him any question that you want to talk about. So it's no back and forth. He say, she say. You getting the information
Right.
directly from the chief of police.
Wow.
Several other things that we do with Shop Talk that's very unique also too is, once we build a relationship with several different barbers and beauty salon owners over a period of time, we will invite them, the barbershop owners and the beauty salon owners, we will invite them to the police academy, and to sit down. They get to again have lunch with the chief of police, maybe the city council members, maybe the mayor, and we will break bread with them. And it's an open line of communication for 45 minutes. That's good towards them, because we want them to know that they what they see on TV, what they see on social media, you can't believe everything you hear, but it goes both ways. We want them to make a decision which they want. If they agree to disagree, that's okay. But
Right.
make the decision based off the correct information.
Right.
Also, another thing that we do that's great. Sometimes the recruits from the academy are at that luncheon, so the recruits get to interact with the barbers as well too, and they get to hear straight from the citizens their concerns.
Right. Right.
Also, another thing that's fantastic: barbershops and beauty salon owners. Sometimes we get to take them to what is called reality-based training. That's basically police officers going through different scenarios in assimilations to make quick decisions. Well, wonder if you had that opportunity to go
Mm-hmm.
through that same situation,
Mm-hmm.
because people always say, well, why that officer didn't just shoot the gun out of their hand? Well,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't work that way. That's
Right.
TV. Because
Yeah.
if you notice on TV, in 59 minutes, everything normally wraps up in a bow. Everybody go to jail. The case is wrapped up. Everything is neatly done in 59 minutes. That's on TV. That's not real life. That's not how it really happens. So you get to do a lot of things that a normal citizen wouldn't get to do.
Right, right.
Also, we do scholarships. We offer different scholarships. We have, matter of fact, we have 4 or 5 different scholarships that we offer through Shop Talk from One Community USA. We have an advocacy, annual Citizen of the Year Advocacy Award that we offer. That's the barbershop owners that's giving back to the community and doing the most in the community. We'll recognize them.
Well, that's
We'll
great.
right. We'll recognize a couple of employees that the barbershop say, hey, this employee is doing some great things in the community. We recognize a couple of them, and then we also will recognize a student, a high school student that goes to one of the barbershops or beauty salon, and we'll mentor them. And if they decide to go to college, myself, the barbershop, one of the barbershop owners, and uh, one of the guys in the barbershop and the police officers will reach out to that individual once a week just to check on them, make sure they stand positive on the right path. And we will help them apply to get a scholarship to whatever trade school or college they decide to go
Oh,
to,
that's great.
right? And uh, One Community USA will provide a scholarship to that school or trade school for that student as well. We'll provide a scholarship, help them get started. So we
Wow.
do right, right. So we're
That
doing a lot with Shop
Yes,
Talk.
you are. That is amazing. And I've not heard any other community police organization that's doing some of those things. So Sergeant Munoz, tell me what your role is in One Community USA.
Thank you again for the invitation, Ms. Charlotte. It's nice to meet you. So a little background about me. I also retired from the Dallas Police Department a little over 29 years, about a year ago. And I was the Latino community liaison for the Dallas Police Department. So I was ultimately responsible for over 42% of the Hispanic population throughout the city of Dallas. So when you put that, you bring that element in the community and our department, I was the face, I was their advocate.
Right.
So that was my passion. I wanted to always serve, provide resources. Most important, it's about education and empowerment. So now I'm bringing it to the civilian side. So now I'm with Ms. Tony Brinker and this dynamic team that we have here, Brad and Jeremy, we're bringing these efforts through the civilian side. So now my mission driven and my philosophy is to continue providing those services, providing those resources to our community. So I partner up with other agencies that have a Hispanic outreach program, which is the Unidos program, which I ran in Dallas. But now I'm bringing it to the civilian side, Hispanic outreach program, which is about having those community-based initiative programs. Go to the community. That's what we have to do. Like we tell our officers, get out of the squad car, meet and greet to your officer or your community.
Right.
You got to shake that hand, sit down and listen to their conversation. Community policing has changed. 21st century policing that has to change, and we're moving forward in those regards. So that's my objective. I'm out there to help educate and empower our community. By educating and empowering our community, guess what? We want to improve quality of life.
Right.
That's important.
Right.
Because our Hispanic culture, we're there was a lot of immigration concerns. So I had to be their advocate and their voice. We're here to serve our community. We have to change the state. We have to change the mentality about law enforcement. We're not here just to arrest people. We have to, like Brad mentioned, we have to be engaging. We have to, connect with them and just visit with them.
Right. Wow. Well, Jeremy, tell us what your role is with One Community USA.
I'd love to tell you what we have going on over here. A little background about myself. I've been going into prisons dealing with the incarcerated population for over the last 5 years, doing prison ministry and mentorship, just some encouragement to
Awesome.
to our inmates. Miss Brinker and I crossed paths along that path. She was starting a new program. It's called Pathways to Hope. Pathways to Hope has got very unique qualities about it. The first thing is that, we try to start a relationship with our participants prior to their release. We'll try to go in and we'll start. Right now it's difficult. We've been pushed back because of COVID, and we can't actually go inside any prisons. We've been locked out of prisons since March 13th of 2020, and just let people understand, those men and women that are incarcerated haven't been able to have in-person contact visits with their families in almost a year. And I know it sounds horrible, but they have children that can't go in there and see them as well. So what we're trying to accomplish, so we want to go in there and really help these guys get on the right path. We're not just a reentry program, we're also a diversion program. We're working in Tarrant County right now with the Sheriff's Department. We've got 2 sitting judges over there that run the Veterans Treatment Court, as well as the only first responder court in the nation. They also run other diversion programs within the Tarrant County Sheriff's Office. So we go in and we try to identify 50-50 mix of civilian inmates and veteran inmates. One of the things that I've been coming across a lot in the ministry side of it was a lot of our veterans are getting incarcerated for numerous reasons: substance abuse, DUIs, and domestic violence. I was in the military for a while. They're very good about teaching you how to deal with anger through violence. So whenever you come out, that's not accepted in the in our population here.
Absolutely.
So they end up getting incarcerated. So we want to go in and we want to help our veterans. We start them with a 40-hour intensive workshop readiness program. We'll go in there, we'll give them different life skills. We start a life vision plan with them. We do interviewing skills, just workplace readiness programming. Teach them how to look somebody in the eye, shake a hand, speak to somebody. We do self-imaging. All these are professional classes. They're taught and led by professionals within the community. The curriculum is proprietary. It's classroom setting. They graduate from that 40-hour program. They go into a 3-tier program. Each tier lasts 6 months. Our first tier is our associate level. The associate level, we're really working on trying to get them just re-entered into society, give them some leadership skills, some just workplace skills, how to deal with conflict. And then we also incorporate in that 6 months, we have a 14-week restorative justice program. Restorative justice is simply trying to repair the harm caused by crime. It's very much story-based. It goes through accountability, responsibility, and we go through all these different tenets. And then we get to a week called forgiveness. What we've learned is at forgiveness, they've heard some victims tell their stories, and they get to this place and they realize that people can and will forgive them, but they have a really hard time forgiving themselves for what they've done. They burn a lot of bridges with their friends and their family, but we get through that, and it's very exciting because you see a transformation right around that time. And they come out on the other side, and you can see some self-value and self-worth. And we graduate from that 6-month tier, and we go into our second tier, which is our leadership level. And the leadership level, we're really trying to get them to step up and take leadership within their environments, not only at work, but also within their communities. We really wanted to see them start being the husbands, the wives, the fathers, and the mothers, and the siblings and the children that they're supposed to be. So we work on that leadership side. We're unique in the fact that every single one of our participants gets a mentor, and they also have a case manager assigned to them. So we assess them both on the mental health side of it, and we also assess them on their global needs assessment. Every one of our participants will have access to free mental health care. One side of it is for veterans, the other side is for civilians, but we have 2 organizations that offer our participants free mental health care, it's outstanding.
Yes.
Then we do the global needs assessment. We have several partners that will work with us that provide housing, transportation, clothing, education, basically the basic survival needs that someone has whenever they're leaving incarceration. After they graduate that 40-hour program, I want to back up because we will put on a job fair with our partners that are felon-friendly employers. The only criteria, or the main criteria, not the only one, but the main criteria that we ask of our felon-friendly employers is that they start with a minimum living wage of $15 an hour. The last thing we want is for someone to get out of prison and be taken advantage of.
Right.
I've actually ran a plant in Ellis County where it was pretty common for people to get out of prison and get taken advantage of pretty quickly. It's unfortunate, but it happens, and we want to get restored dignity. We actually want our participants to be able to have 3 or 4 job offers that they get to choose which route they want to go on. We'll give them an aptitude test, and if they need to be retrained, we also have partners that can retrain them to be HVAC technicians or electricians or even CDL drivers. We've got a large network of partners and supporters. Well, they graduate that leadership tier and they go into the 3rd tier. The last 6 months is our ambassador level. At this level, we're really trying to take everything they've learned over the last year, the mentorships they've been provided. And mind you, these mentors are veterans, they're first responders, law enforcement, they could be judges, it could be chiefs. These are leaders within the communities that are going back and spending time with them. So if you can envision an officer that has arrested someone going back in and mentoring them, I think that starts building a bond that's pretty much unbreakable.
Right.
It brings humanity back to both sides of the equation. So that ambassador level, we really want these participants to go back home. You know, we want them to go back home and be an ambassador in their community where they're looked up to, but they also have something to offer. You know, we poured into them for 12 months. We've helped them find a really good job, get back up on their feet, get some housing, get squared away and get right. And we know that the best answer for most children is their biological parent if they're on the right path. You get them away from the drugs, you get them away from all the other things. And if we can reach that mother or that father, and we can get them back home to their parent, then we will see generations changed.
Absolutely.
You know, we'll break that generational cycle. So most of the time when I'm going into prison, you know, you'll talk to some young man and you'll ask him about his home life. Well, you know, I was raised by my mom or my grandma. I didn't know my dad, but my he's over here. He's been incarcerated since I was 3 or 4 years old. And it's just generational. It's over and over again. I think what we've got to get back to is loving one another, loving our neighbors. You know, it's really easy for us to sit back. You know, if we're comfortable, we're life is good for us. You know, we got a good job. We're able to pay our bills, and we get comfortable and forget about those that aren't as fortunate. And unfortunately, many people look at those underserved communities and they're like, well, it's not my child, it's not my problem. What is your problem? You know, I think that if we could look at that young man, that boy, that girl in the eye, and just remember that it's not their fault either. They didn't ask to be born into a society where mom is not living right or dad's not living right. And we need to step up. We need to step up as a community, and we need to love that child and remind them that they haven't been forgotten about and that they are still loved.
Right.
And I think that's what we're missing in society today. So my ultimate goal is to get mom and dad back at home, restore that family connection, and hopefully give that young boy, that young girl, a better chance than what they see before them today. That's the overall kind of version of it and the heart behind it. But that's why we're trying to do what we're doing. I want to remind people, we're not out there trying to excuse people's bad choices. We understand bad choices have consequences. Right. Unfortunately, our TDCJ doesn't do the best job of rehabilitation. They do a great job of keeping people locked up. But if you put somebody in prison 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and they don't really have any new skills, they just come out an older version of their old self with different new skills that they learn while they're incarcerated. So trying to get them some dignity back, get them some skills back, let them know that, hey, you know, there is still an opportunity out here that changes people's worlds. It changes their lives within their families and their communities. Ultimately, that will restore some of the safety that we're looking to restore in those communities and give these kids a chance.
This is some good stuff. Good stuff. I've got several different questions. One of the things that you said that I absolutely love is that your felon-friendly employees, they have to be willing to start them off at $15 an hour.
Minimum, correct.
Minimum. I was having a conversation with someone just on yesterday, and they couldn't understand why $7.75 or whatever it is, $7.50, why we needed to change that. And this was an older lady, an older white lady who there were so many things that I wanted to say to her. And then I just said, you know what? Why would I argue with her? Because of her mindset. It's not going to change. She can't see. She's never had to live off of $7.50 an hour and take care of a family. So even if you don't have the drugs or, those situations, just having to take care of 2 children, a husband and wife on $7 an hour, $7 and who can do that? With the increase has gone up astronomically, but the pay wage has stayed the same. That doesn't even logically make sense. So why would we even, put people in a situation? So Biden just signed, President Biden just signed a bill about private prisons, about private companies not being able to own. I'd like to hear y'all's take on that and how that can help or hurt our system.
I'd love to speak on what I know about. I don't know the exact law that he just signed into place, but that we already had one that a law that was passed. I believe it was the First Step Act that was really geared towards federal prisons. Biden probably doesn't have any say-so over state prisons, and I can tell you from experience, Texas does have private prisons, and they're very well ran, and they offer a lot more programming. TDCJ, and I'm not trying to bash anybody. I've got a lot of friends that work over there, a lot of chaplains, and they're doing the best they can with what they have. TDCJ has been, you want to talk about systemic problems, they've been raised and trained how to keep inmates incarcerated. They're all about protection. It's about locking somebody up. MTC, being a private facility, has a little bit more leeway, and they start offering extra programs. You can leave with degrees. You can leave with different trade skills, things of that nature. That's the right path to go on. So what Biden signed in is probably for the federal prisons. State prisons are going to have to get to that same level. I hope they take notice and they follow suit. We do need to start opening up different trainings, better trainings, and transitional programs to help people transition out. Right now, it's all done pretty much by nonprofits. A lot of my friends that are working in the reentry system, it's nonprofit type stuff. It's grassroots. These guys have been incarcerated, realize how tough it was to come back and get back into society. And when you take somebody out of prison and you throw them out there, and even without a minimum living wage, they go get a $9-10 an hour job. Your basic survival instincts kick in, and you're going to need gas money. You're going to need to eat. So you start making bad decisions again, and you're already in the system. So it just keeps on repeating itself.
Right.
So I see a real need for us to really beef up a reentry type program where people that are coming out of TDCJ and even MTC, some of these private prisons, in the military, that when we ETS, the last 6 months that you're in there, they start sending you through these courses to help you with resumes, to help you somewhat go back home and be established. When you get out of prison, you get a $50 check. Good luck to you. Good luck cashing it whenever you don't have any ID.
Oh, wow.
I'm telling you, I'm kind of getting off course because that's not one community, but that's some of the problems that are these are our neighbors. We want to talk statistics. Over 95% of the people that go into prison will be released. Out of those 95% we have about 220,000 inmates in the state of Texas. So 95% of those are going to be back on the street, back in minding your communities. Within the first 3 years, 68% of those will reoffend and be reincarcerated. That's a very large number. The further you go down, the worse it gets. It goes anywhere from 78 to 92%.
Wow.
So we've got a problem. It's a real problem. We've got to fix it. What we're doing here, it's already been acknowledged by the governor, Governor Abbott. If we can get this thing up and running successfully, we can duplicate this all throughout the entire state of Texas and beyond. It's something that actually takes these are volunteers. These mentors are not paid mentors. They come in because they want to come in and they want to help. We're gonna line them up with them. We're gonna train them. We're gonna walk with them every step of the way. That case manager will be at that participant for 18 months, making sure that they're going to work, getting their mental health treatment, making sure that they're taken care of, their housing, transportation, all those things are being met. So what we have here is it's really special. It can be duplicated and it can really make a difference.
Wow. So we have you working with these individuals to get them, to help them to have healthy re-entry back into the community. What are you seeing from, and this is to anybody, when we talk about One Community USA, how are we involving those individuals are we involving those individuals into One Community USA, so that these individuals who have been incarcerated and who are now on the right track can come and talk to our communities and our some of the barbershops when you do the shop talks? How are we incorporating, or are we incorporating those at all?
Yeah, I can address that. Matter of fact, several of the barbershop owners have been incarcerated, and they are now ambassadors in the community, giving back, and they do some speaking at different because until you actually walk in somebody's shoes,
absolutely,
you think you understand. And you think you hear people, but until you actually walk in somebody's shoes, it's a whole different ball game.
Absolutely.
So we have a couple of barbers that have actually walked in those shoes and are now back in society, giving back, and they do a tremendous job of what they do. Let me give you a couple examples. Several months ago, Trusted World, which is one of our partners that we teamed up with, the barbershops, Trusted World, and One Community USA, Urban Police Department identified a apartment location that they was having extremely high crime at that particular place. So we got with Starbucks, provided lunch. We done it on a Saturday morning. Starbucks provided breakfast. Trusted World provided a week of food for 7 to 10 families. They didn't have to worry about food for a whole week for 7 to 10 families. And the barbershops owners provided 26 free haircuts at that location.
Oh, wow.
That's how you give back. That's how you get the community involved.
Absolutely.
Things of that nature. So that's just some of the things that we do. And some of the barbers identified some families, some needed families during Christmas time. And 4 or 5 families were taken care of for Christmas through Shop Talk and One Community USA. And that's from the barbershops talking to the people in the community. And that's what also one of the barbers that walked in those shoes before it has came back in serving his community in a tremendous way. So
you guys are doing some amazing. Sergeant Munoz, were you about to say something?
Yeah, I was about. No, go ahead. I was going to interject too on Brad's. Even during that was a good point. We also, and let me interject on that. We also did a Christmas or a turkey drive. We brought turkeys to a lot of the barbershop owners as well during the holidays. They really appreciate that. Again, we're just acknowledging them, saying thank you for your support. Thank you for helping our community. But they appreciate we embracing them as well. It's about One Community. It's about just, welcoming them back and everything. We're here to serve them and everything. So it was a heartfelt thank you from them, being that we as One Community were out there able to provide those turkeys, because a lot of them didn't have a lot of meals for the holidays.
Right.
So we were able to provide meals for them, and they appreciate that very much.
That's awesome. So we know that change is not always accepted. It's hard, it's difficult, it's different. Even though we know that sometimes we need to make a change, just because it's difficult to make that mental shift. It's what I've done all the time, and so this is all I know. So tell me, are you getting, or have you gotten much resistance as you're going into these communities to build this relationship and heal these communities? What's the resistance like, or is everybody just very welcoming to this idea?
Let me interject on that as well. Yes, do we see resistance? Absolutely, it's going to happen. Even when we started at the barbershops, you know, Brad can attest to this. They see the officer in the uniform, and then we try to explain to them why we're here, what is our purpose of being here. It's about, you know, breaking that barrier, breaking that, you know, that stride. Hey, we're not the stride, but we're here to help them out, improve those relations. But as you know, we really come from as a law enforcement background. We're in civilian now, so they see us differently from the uniform, right? So it's about just making that connection, having that conversation. It's about conversation and just breaking that, you know, that division.
Right.
And when you continue going back, it's about going back and reassuring that we're here, we're genuine, we're here to build the relationships. And it's all about building those relationships, but it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight because it's about the trust. Because
Right.
there was a lot of mistrust within the law enforcement, you know, and like I said, me and Brad been there in that environment. It's about just continue having that relationship with them.
And that's one of the things that I have seen just in Ellis County, well, just in Ennis particularly. You'll have someone to come in and they'll start a program and it's doing really well. And then that person leaves and then there's no consistency. So that thing falls off. And then every time it stops, every time there's a lapse, then it's almost like it goes all the way back to the beginning. The next person comes in and they've got to start all over, because it is about consistency and trust.
Yes.
Because
Okay.
once that's broken,
Yes.
you know, then I knew they weren't going to do this. I knew that was going to happen. You can't trust them. And so then it goes back over all over again. So how do you guys, are you seeing that nationwide, or is this just in the local smaller areas that you're seeing some of this reluctancy to the inconsistency?
Unfortunately, any law enforcement agency around the country, if they make a bad decision, it affects every law enforcement agency in the United States. But I tell everybody, one bad apple don't make the whole bunch bad. That's in any profession. But you have to be consistent in any program that you start, because that's the first thing that they're looking at. Are you gonna be consistent? Are you gonna you're gonna have boots on the ground? Are you gonna do what you say? You could talk all day, but documentation be conversation.
Absolutely.
One community USA, we're here and we're here to stay. And we continue to come back to the barbershop, to the beauty salon. We continue to do things in the community. That's the only way that you're gonna have trust, build that trust back. It took several years for them to distrust. It's gonna take some time and several years to
Right.
build that trust back up, because trust is earned over time.
So where are you guys? Where can we find One Community USA? Are what's are you local? Are you national? Tell me where you are.
One Community USA is located in Dallas. The head office is located in Dallas, but our organization is branching out here in North Texas, and eventually we would like to go nationwide.
Gotcha.
Right, but right now, just in my particular program in Shop Talk, since June, I started back in June. We have added Euless Police Department, Duncanville Police Department, DeSoto Police Department, Carrollton Police Department, and we in talk with Grand Prairie, Richardson, and Fort Worth. So
Wow.
we're branching out here, in this particular area. But over a period of time, we would definitely like to go nationwide.
So what would an organization or police department, how would they, be it barbershop owner, beauty shop owner, or a police department, how would they connect with you to get involved with One Community USA?
They can, as my partner is displaying, I'm saying, they can go out to onecommunityusa.org and see all the different information. And Mr. Lampier, Sergeant Munoz, and myself, our contact numbers and information is out there. So that if they have any questions or concern, we'll love to talk to them, because they can also be volunteers. You can never have too many good people out there willing to give back. And we are always looking for volunteers in each one of our programs. And One Community USA, we're talking about 3 different programs, but the umbrella has about 12 different programs overall. So our main mission and focus is to make sure each community, no matter where it's at, is safe, because a safe community affects everybody.
Right, right. So is there a fee to be a part of One Community USA?
No,
No,
ma'am.
ma'am.
No, ma'am. There's no fee. No, it's completely free. And like I said, as long as we have the collaboration of other law enforcement agencies, and they embrace our program, and we embrace our agencies, because like I said, we're brothers in blue. We still have that law enforcement mentality and the blood for it. You know, we're here to serve them.
Right.
So yeah, so we're in North Texas right now. We're 4 people in our staff, but eventually we're gonna have to grow more to expand it, because like I said, other states are reaching out to us for assistance.
Right.
Because after the George Floyd incident and the other incidents that we had throughout the country, a lot of people don't have community engagement programs in place.
No.
So that's why I said, like me and Brad, we got over 60 years of experience, and that type of experience in law enforcement and community engagement backgrounds. So we want to bring those experience and the knowledge to them and help them out.
Right.
It's about building. Yes, ma'am. It's about just helping out, bringing, bridging the gap.
Jeremy, you and I have some work to do here in Ennis then.
We
And
do.
Waxahachie.
Yeah, I'm already in Waxahachie quite a bit. So I spend a lot of time there. I do want to, yes, you can come volunteer with us for free, but I want to reiterate, we are a nonprofit. We're a 501c3. All of our funding, it comes through private donations and grants. So if anybody's in a position that would like to donate to us, if they go to onecommunityusa.org, there's a donate button there. We would love your financial support. We always take volunteers. I need mentors. I need people that are willing to step up and take ownership of their communities. Most of us are, but I'm in Waxahachie all the time. I'm all around Ellis County. So if you ever wanted to do any work with me, just let me know. We've got a lot going on right here in our own backyard.
Yes, indeed. Sign me up. I would be willing to volunteer. I would.
And
I will take you up on that.
We also encourage our students and college students or even high school, because that's community service.
Right.
And when you're applying for scholarships, guess what? They look at your community service.
Absolutely.
Yes. So we definitely encourage our students to join and help out, and they love to. We appreciate that.
Yes, indeed. Well, guys, it has been a plum pleasing pleasure to have you guys on to talk about your organization, the things that you're doing, the impact that you're making. If we all just did a little, if everybody did a little, it would make such a world of difference. These are the children who are going to be the young men and women who are going to be taking care of us, when we get older. And so it behooves us to spend some time and to take the time to mentor and to volunteer and pour into someone, like many of us have had people to pour into us. So it's just a matter of giving back. So I really, really appreciate you guys for giving your time today to come on and talk to me and just, pour your heart. And I see your passion, I hear it. And I pray that other individuals will hear it, and not only hear it, but they will get involved as well. So it's been a wonderful night on Girl Talk. If you would like to follow me, charlottemwatson.org, on Facebook, author Charlotte M. Watson, and Twitter @CMWatt3. So again, thank you for joining us. We thank these guys for being here. Officer Munoz, Officer Deason, and Jeremy Lampert. Thank you again. We hope to see you soon. Have a great
All
night.
right.
Stay safe and healthy.
Thank you for having
so
us.
much.
Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you.
All right.
Good night.
Good
Bye-bye.
night.
Good night. All right. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Great. Oh, hold on. Let me get this back up and get you bigger here. Why is it saying, oh, there we go.